I mean, you have to remember this, and Molly Hemingway wrote a good piece about this recently at the Federalist. There's no proof that Christine Blasey Ford ever met Brett Kavanaugh. All the people she cited as backup said, no, we don't. All of them. There's no one said, oh, yeah, I was there. I remember that. It was terrible. No one said that. The people she said were at the party said we weren't at that party. I don't remember that party. There's no corroborating evidence. Here's the way women reacted when this, I believe, is as she's testifying or right before she's testifying.
I believe Dr. Ford. I thought she was credible.
I believe her. Her story is credible.
It comes down to credibility, to your point, Gail, and it's going to be about listening to what each party has to say, but I believe her.
I was proud of Dr. Blasey Ford's response and her demeanor, but more importantly, her courage in stepping forward.
We must first and foremost protect and support the alleged victim as they come forward. This is a very difficult thing that she is doing, and I applaud her for her courage.
Anybody who comes forward at this point, that takes an extraordinary amount of courage.
There is no doubt in my mind, Harris, that Dr. Ford was a credible witness.
Honesty, her integrity, her truth, it's obvious.
A credible woman coming from Dr. Ford, coming forward and courageous enough to come forward without any benefit to her.
She has nothing to gain. So what does she have to gain?
The victims are blamed often, and they're not believed, and that's why they're reluctant to come forward.
So that's, that is that story covered. Here's a Time magazine news cover that is made up of all these kind of words, where Christine Blasey Ford's face is made up of all these words that, about belief and the Me Too movement, and now women are coming forward, and everything says this is 18 months ago, a year and a half ago. Tara Reid comes forward and says this happened. And let's remember the different charges. One charge was, as a teenager, this guy lay down on top of her and she felt that she was threatened with rape, and then he fell off and was laughing and he was drunk. If that happened, that's bad. But it is bad. It's not the way you should treat other people, obviously, and teenagers are not off the hook. However, at the point where you're 50 and every woman is saying, no, the guy's a great guy, you might be able to say, well, sometimes you have to leave the past behind. We've all done stupid things. That was a stupid thing I did. If there were any corroboration at all. What this woman is talking about is Senator Joe Biden in 1993, when he was already 75 or 92 or something, pushed her up against the wall and stuck his fingers up her. And then when she shoved them off, said, gee, I thought you liked me. So Tara Reid said, my mother called the Larry King show and complained about this at the time because there was no place for me to go. And she talked to Larry King. Now, this is on CNN. Larry King show is on CNN. CNN did not find this. Our friends at Newsbusters at the Media Research Center, they dug it up, and The Intercept wrote a story about it. Here's the tape that Tara Reid says is her mother calling Larry King.
I'm wondering what a staffer would do besides go to the press in Washington. My daughter has just left there after working for a prominent senator and could not get through with her problems at all. And the only thing she could have done was go to the press, and she chose not to do it out of respect for him.
Or she had a story to tell, but out of respect for the person she worked for, she didn't tell it.
That's true.
So CNN, after a long delay, offered one story about this on Saturday afternoon. One story. They finally covered it. The media, the mainstream networks did not cover it on Sunday at all. And they had people on. They could have interviewed, like, Nancy Pelosi was on. People, look, if it had been Kavanaugh, they would have interviewed anybody. When Julie Swetnick came forward, and I'll remind you who that is in just a second, when she came forward, CNN gave Michael Avenatti, remember Michael Avenatti, who I think was sprung from prison because of the virus? They gave him 35 minutes across 3 primetime shows. Michael Avenatti was Julie Swetnick's lawyer, and she was the one who accused Kavanaugh of standing outside a bedroom where numerous boys were waiting their turn to have sex with a girl inside the room, essentially a gang rape. But she was so drunk. That was the thing, was getting her drunk. And then she was on, and I believe it was NBC's Kate Snow who started to say, well, wait, your story is now changing, and all you're saying is you saw him with a red plastic cup, and he was standing with a bunch of guys. I mean, her story fell apart very, very quickly when she was questioned, but that did not stop all the papers, including the New York Times, a former newspaper, from covering this. So when Dean Baquet comes out and says, well, we covered it because we were covering it, but we're not covering this because we're not covering it, that is what he did. And remember, in both these cases, Joe Biden is a human being. Brett Kavanaugh is a human being. These are things that are happening to them that aren't necessarily fair. And the thing that's happening to Joe Biden, I mean, it's not this so far, we don't have any evidence. We don't have any proof. The story is not about Joe Biden. The story so far is not about Joe Biden. The story is about the press. The story is about the press creating a fake universe. And the fake universe was that now we care. This fake story was now we care what women say. Now we care what women are doing. Now we care what's happening to women. That was a fake story. We know it was a fake story. Not only was it a fake story for the Democrats, it was a fake story for the news media. I hope you enjoyed that clip from The Andrew Klavan Show. If you did, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you stay up to date on all our future content.